Number 10. The missing link. According to a study posted by Cardiff University, scientists think they have finally found the missing link that foreshadows the Ice Age, and it's a little too real. What did they know before? Well, scientists knew that Ice Age cycles developed due to periodic changes in the Earth's orbit. The small variations in solar energy set off massive shifts in Earth's climate. But how remained a mystery. Well, now scientists think it has everything to do with the melting of the icebergs. Ha ha ha, well, isn't that interesting? When the Earth is in the right position and icebergs begin to melt away from Antarctica, immense volumes of fresh water move into the Atlantic Ocean away from the Southern Ocean. Therefore, the Southern Ocean gets saltier and massive changes in circulation patterns pull CO2 out of the atmosphere. We know that the less CO2 in the atmosphere, the colder the temperature will be as it reduces the greenhouse effect. Therefore, Earth moves towards Ice Age conditions. Now, I think we can be a little more scared of the ice caps melting.
Coming in at number 9, we have the RONGORONGO. Fun to say, really fun to say. The RONGORONGO refers to artifacts found on Easter Island, a remote island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the one with all the big stone heads. Easter Island. This island used to be the home of an ancient civilization that died out under mysterious circumstances. On the island, artifacts, wooden tablets, were discovered with strange undeciphered writing on them. The writing is a series of glyphs, which is like a symbol kind of writing. While there have been many attempts to crack the code, so far they've been unsuccessful. It is thought that the language is a special and rare case of independent invention of human writing. If the RONGORONGO language is ever translated, it could reveal this scary secret of how the people of Easter Island died. Coming into number 8, we have Pershing Square Underground Garage in Los Angeles. This is so mysterious indeed. Also, to me, when there's mystery, there's kind of a spook. Underneath Pershing Square, there is a 225-pound time capsule that was buried in 1950. It was buried under the instruction to be opened in the year 2951, so a cool 1,000 years in the future. The project was very secretive, so we literally have no idea what's down there. To me, that all sounds pretty scary, and I won't be around to find out what's in it. I don't have that much time. Coming into number 7, we have ancient disease. Two things to discuss here really. You guys know how much I love to bang on about the Siberian permafrost and how it's melting and unleashing all kinds of ancient diseases. Well, like that. And more. Ice, it traps all kinds of things. On that topic, did you also know that there are secret laboratories in the world where scientists are keeping copies of ancient extinct diseases, including smallpox, which was declared eradicated in 1980 by the World Health Organization. The reason copies of old diseases are kept is so that we can study them and have copies of pathogens to work with when creating cures. Although, to be honest, we wouldn't need cures if these viruses were totally destroyed. It's like a scientific catch-22. While we may think that we're rid of these nasties, they're actually still out there hiding in secret. The permafrost is Earth's secret, waiting for the right time to reveal its mysteries, but the laboratories are scientific secrets. Coming into number 6, we have the SHIGIR idol. So often I wonder what lost relics and artifacts are hiding around the world waiting to be discovered, and honestly, I feel like there must be so many things that we don't even know about yet. The only reason we know about the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans, the Aztecs, and so on and so forth is because we found evidence of them in our soil. Other places, like our number 5, have been written about but never found. There must be small civilizations or very early ones that we haven't found yet, for which we don't have any literature surrounding them. So, on that note, let me introduce the SHIGIR idol. This impressive wooden structure was amazingly found in a Russian bog by gold miners in 1894. Before that, it had laid untouched and undiscovered for 11,500 years. Just to put this in perspective, this is over twice the age of the Egyptian pyramids and some. It seems like it is a carving of a forest spirit, but what that really means, we don't know. To think that this statue was hiding in time for millennia without anyone knowing it was there, honestly, that freaks me out, but also makes me feel good and weird and mysterious. Coming in at number 5, we have Atlantis. The lost city of Atlantis is just that. lost. Where exactly is? Well, some people think that it might be in the Straits of Gibraltar between Africa and Spain. The ancient Greek city was supposed to be thriving in its day, which was over 11,000 years ago, so sometime after the wooden statue from our previous number. The great and late philosopher Plato mentioned Atlantis in a number of his works and writings, and he's a pretty credible guy. Where Atlantis is and what we may find within its walls, well, that is a secret hidden in time waiting to be discovered one day. Coming into number 4, we have the BYRON PREISS Scary Hidden Treasure. In 1981, publisher BYRON PREISS hid 12 treasures to promote his book, The Secret. The book was a puzzle made of 12 verses and 12 fantasy paintings. Readers were supposed to pair paintings with verses and use them as clues to find 12 plexiglass boxes buried in various parks around North America. Each box contained a ceramic key that could be redeemed for a jewel worth $1,000. So far, 2 of the boxes have been found, but the rest are undiscovered. One was found in Chicago, one in Cleveland, and there's a group of people who are ebbing closer to finding another in New Orleans. It seems that BYRON PREISS never told another human where the treasure was hidden, and he himself was tragically killed in a car accident in 2005, so with his death, the secret hidden treasure really is, well, secret. And hidden. It's been nearly 40 years. When will the remaining boxes be found, and what exactly will be found in them? Honestly, it sends chills up my spine. Coming in at number 3, we have Heard Island. Heard Island is a mystery land of fire and ice. What goes on there? We don't really know. Heard Island is between Australia and Antarctica, although when I say between, I mean a 2-week sail from Australia in some of the roughest seas imaginable. You can't land a plane here, and for this reason, hardly any humans have ever set foot on this land, that we know of, anyway. The snow is cold, but yet the island is volcanic, and it's a mystery to us. It likely holds secrets to Earth and wildlife that we know very little about. Who knows what we could discover here? Same again at number 2, we have Underneath Antarctica. So my line of questioning when it comes to Antarctica is two-pronged. It all boils down to this though. 160 years ago, Antarctica separated from Africa, and back then it was by and large a pretty hospitable place to live. There was animal life living in Antarctica back then. What kind of life? Well, it was the Mesozoic era, so it was very much the age of the dinosaur. Okay. Noted. Animal life will have died out in the Antarctic deep freeze, which started around 23 million years ago. Now, this means that there could be a whole host of creatures trapped under the ice that we might not even know about. We may even have frozen dinosaurs that are pretty intact, and that really excites me. Some people even go as far as to say that there could be evidence of an ancient human or pre-human civilization trapped under there that we don't know about. The ice is, after all, an average thickness of 2.4 kilometers and over 4 kilometers at its thickest. Beyond possibly preserved dinosaur carcasses and lost human civilizations, the land under the ice, as in its geological makeup, may hold secrets to our very early history of a planet. Antarctica is likely shielding some of the biggest and maybe the scariest secrets of all time. Finally, coming into number 1, we have a message from aliens. Okay, so hear me out. In 1977, humans sent out a message from planet Earth into the ether via Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 spacefarers, although these were on 2 vinyls, so unless there are some hipster aliens about, I have no idea how they're going to listen to them. Either way, it would take 40,000 years for our message, travelling at the Voyager's top speed, to reach Gliese. That's a star 1.6 light years away. Okay, so that being known, perhaps aliens have sent out a message to us, but it's hidden in time and space. The universe is, well, you know, pretty endless. So far, scientists have discovered more than 500 solar systems in our galaxy alone, the Milky Way. Now, our galaxy, to put this into perspective, is 1 of 2 trillion. So I mean, I'm not one for super quick math or anything, but if the Milky Way is typical, there could be 100 billion or more solar systems out there. And that's just in the observable universe, and honestly, I am mind-boggled. Now, I imagine that there is life out there somewhere, and if it's reached the point where it has the ability and capability to send out information into space, then, well, perhaps one day we will come across a message from them.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have exorcisms. So one would think that exorcisms would be strictly reserved for horror movies and the like, but that is simply not true. They are definitely a real-life nightmare, and the former chief exorcist of the Vatican certainly knows all about them. The late priest, Father Gabriel Amorth, served in this position for more than 60 years, and throughout his career he is said to have performed approximately 160,000 exorcisms. That's an insane number. What's even more concerning is it's not like he's the only one doing them. There are tons of priests who perform these things. So much so that there's a workshop at the Vatican that has welcomed 250 priests from across the world to learn how to perform such a thing. This is all to say that a lot more exorcisms are happening than I would have liked to think.
Number 9, lion cubs. Lion cubs in ice? Well, yes indeed. The world is strange and wonderful, and it was once covered in a lot of ice. Union and Dina were the first cave lions to be found, and another was found more recently in Yakutia, Russia. Both sets of remains date back to the Ice Age around 12,000 years ago. The species uncovered went extinct 10,000 years ago, and these poor babies died in a really sad way. Either their mother died or abandoned them, and the newest cub is so well preserved that you can see how it went to sleep with its little head resting on their paw. They also found 2 other cave lions, Boris and Sparta, in the same area, both perfectly preserved and 18,000 years apart. These 2 little cubs also helped establish the appearance of cave lions without manes. But the most exciting thing about the remains is that it could be used for cloning now that we completed the genome. Interesting. Number 8. A wolf head. The wolves we have now are pretty massive, but imagine how big their ancestors must have been. Pavel Efimov was searching for mammoth tusks in Siberia, Russia, when he made an unexpected discovery: the head of an Ice Age wolf, perfectly preserved. Its hair, teeth, brain, and ears are fully intact after can't believe this, after 40,000 years frozen in the permafrost. These massive creatures were a little over twice the size of modern day wolves and could crush bone with their jaws. Definitely not the most friendly of creatures. It would have been a full-grown wolf when it died, but it wasn't killed by humans. Why was the head separated from the body then? Well, scientists believe that it died originally intact, but with the melting and shifting and cracking of the ice probably separated them. The most exciting part is that now scientists will be able to study the evolution of the modern day wolf. Number 7, disease. I think we've talked about this on the channel before, but here we are again. In August 2016, 21 people were mysteriously infected by anthrax. This is just one terrifying discovery that scientists have made beneath the ice. Researchers are concerned that some of the world's most deadly viruses are trapped beneath the permafrost from the Ice Age. And based on this event, they don't seem to be wrong. Not only are they worried about the potential resurfacing of the bubonic plague or smallpox, but something even bigger. Something we may not even have heard of yet. Due to the rapid rate of the ice melting, it is only a matter of time before we figure this out the hard way. We've survived one pandemic. Is another waiting beneath the ice? One layer away from revival? I really hope not. Number 6, giant animals. Considering we have started this list off talking about a lot of animals, it seems to make sense that we highlight a theme here. Ever wonder what it would be like to live in the Ice Age? Me neither, except for maybe right now, because it's boiling right now. Oh, it's so hot. Never mind. Way too hot. We're just gonna take this off. Ironically, it's way too hot in the studio today, so here we are. Why? Because everything was so much bigger, and even imagining that terrifies me. Megafauna were large, oversized animals that lived around the time of the Ice Age. In fact, it was their playground. Not only was there of course the woolly mammoth, but massive saber-toothed tigers, short-faced bears, and of course the above, massive dire wolves. Plus, you can almost guarantee they were always hungry with food being so scarce. I wonder if people will look back in like 1,000 years from now and think about how small our animals are. But believe me, from giant wombats that could be mistaken for bison to killer birds, not a place we would want to live. But they also had some unique survival skills. For instance, the Ice Age rhino was believed to have had a shovel horn to help remove snow. That's kind of neat. Number 5, human revival. Now, considering all the technology we have today, unless we have a day after the tomorrow kind of situation, if we have another Ice Age, we might be okay. Might. But I'm pretty optimistic because Homo sapiens were able to survive the Ice Age, so why not we? Despite not being hairy or thick-skinned, they were resourceful and inventive, relying on traps to catch their dinner. The hunting tools they had would have been limited to stones, knives, and arrowheads. Anything more complicated would have been really rare. So instead, they used traps, and this is where it would get kind of gruesome. Once their prey would fall prey to whatever traps were sent, the men would surround the injured creature and maul it to death. Hey, when you're hungry, and in a dog-eat-dog world, it's a privilege to care about how you will kill your next meal. Number 4, mammoth house. What do you do when you don't have bricks and mortar? Well, you build a house out of, bones that you just find lying around. Yeah. According to an article posted in 2020, Russian archaeologists found a massive circle made of the bones of Ice Age creatures. The bones are from creatures that lived over 20,000 years ago. Not only are there 50 mammoths, but reindeer, horses, bears, wolves, red and Arctic foxes. And this isn't the only circle like it. There are around 70 Ice Age bone circles in 25 sites in Ukraine and Russia. Some of the bones were still joined together, which meant that they still had meat on their bones when they were added. In the middle, there are wooden poles that were presumably used to support roofs made of animal hides. There is still speculation as to whether they were used for homes, ritual, or storage buildings, but still, a house of bones. Sounds odd to us, I know, but imagine having to withstand cold without the tech we have now. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Number 3. Mini Ice Ages. Did you know that we may get a mini Ice Age before we get a really big one? Like a test run, kind of, if you will. Though they aren't as deadly, they can still cause widespread famine and disease due to failed crops. The last recorded mini Ice Age happened between the 12th and 14th century, peaking from 1500 to 1850. It mostly took place in the northern hemisphere of Europe, where seas would freeze repeatedly and glaciers would crush whole villages. This happened quite often in places like Switzerland. But even worse, just like in Game of Thrones, they would go whole years without summer. No thank you. No one quite knows what caused this tiny ice age, but scientists have a couple of ideas. One, that it had something to do with volcanic activity, and that it had an effect on the solar energy the Earth was receiving. Whatever the reason, it definitely provides yet another explanation as to why the Middle Ages were just so sad. So sad. Number 2, more CO2 is a good thing? Considering the first point on this list, we know that less CO2 in the atmosphere will lead to colder temperatures, which could mean ice baby. But considering the very real concept of global warming and the fact that we are injecting so much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, could that mean we will stave off an ice age? Well, scientists think this might be so. While we definitely need to figure out how to control our output so other problems don't arise, it could help fight off the next ice age, right? Weird. There's an upside to everything. According to Cambridge University, although the planetary cycle makes an ice age inevitable, like the seasons, the only way it can happen is if the CO2 level is too low. At this point, we have pumped so much CO2 into the air that even if it all stopped tomorrow, we would still have enough to keep an ice age at bay for at least 1,000 years. However, if we keep going the way we're going, well, goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Like, what do you want? Snowball? Hot Earth? Depends what you like, I guess. How the heck are we gonna get out of this one, you know? And last but not least, the snowball. What's more terrifying than an ice age? A giant snowball. No, not the one that you made to throw at your neighbor. I mean the one that could be our Earth. A snowball Earth is a very terrifying possibility, though probably not as likely. A snowball Earth would destroy much of life on Earth and sink our entire world into a deep freeze. And it did! The snowball Earth was a series of ice ages that occurred during the Neoproterozoic era that were so massive the entire planet froze over 500 million years ago. Why did it happen? Well, scientists from MIT speculate that it was due to a drop in heat so steep that it triggered a runaway effect. The ice expanded so quickly the Earth didn't have time to recover. This drop in temperature might have been prompted by several volcanic eruptions that happened in quick succession. Scientists are unsure as to whether humans could make this happen, but if it did, we wouldn't be able to stop it. At the speed at which the Earth's atmosphere is changing because of us, who knows what could happen. It could go so far it goes the other way around. You just don't know.
Coming in at number 10, we have the classified JFK assassination documents. When it comes to scary secrets hidden in time, the United States government is sitting on a motherlode. While the Freedom of Information Act is a thing, the United States government has classified a bunch of documents to keep them from the public eye. The CIA released a statement to say that when historical information is no longer sensitive, we take seriously our responsibility to share it with the American people. Well, responsibility or not, it seems that Donald Trump does not want the American people to know more information about JFK's assassination. Even though it happened in 1963, documents about the event are still classified. In October 2017, 2,800 files about his murder were released, which revealed all sorts of things, including that the Russian KGB believed that Vice President Lyndon conspired against the press. It seems that there are actually still thousands more documents waiting to be released, and Trump has halted it for reasons of, I quote, national security, law enforcement, and foreign affairs concerns. What do they say? Well, time will reveal.
In our number 9 spot today we have the man on trial. Okay, History is full of a lot of weird stuff, especially when it comes to laws and court and all of that stuff. Things were really different back then, and this is an example of just how different. In 897 AD, the Catholic Church put a dead man on trial. People have definitely been held accountable after death in our modern society. A posthumous trial can be held for a variety of reasons, but that's not what happened here. No, they actually exhumed the body of this man after he had been dead for 7 months already, and they literally brought his body to the courtroom. Necessary? Probably not. Dramatic? Most certainly. I thought jury duty now was bad. Imagine being the jury for that trial. This man on trial was Pope Formosus, and he was being accused of usurping the papacy. In the end, he was found guilty of this. All of his acts as Pope were declared null and void. His body was then stripped of all official garments and instead dressed in rags. His 3 fingers of benediction were cut off and his body was thrown into the river. They very obviously took this all very seriously. In our number 8 spot today, we have Wine Wednesday. Okay, this one might not be terrifying, but I guess that depends on how you feel about wine. According to reports, it is said that the wine consumption in the Vatican is greater than any other country. Like, statistically, the average person living in the Vatican consumes 20 gallons of wine every year. It's a lot of wine. That's 3 times the average of someone in the UK, 6 times as much as someone in the US, and twice as much as the typical resident of France and Italy. If only there wasn't so much other creepy stuff going on in the Vatican, it might actually be a good time. In our number 7 spot today, we have the crime rate. The Vatican is the smallest state in the world in terms of both area size and population size. Despite this fact, however, it still manages to have one of the highest crime rates in the entire world. Not what you would think for the Holy State, right? The crime rate in the Vatican is said to be 20 times higher than the crime rate in Italy. It's said that there is 1.5 crimes per person. It is said that this is due to the high number of tourists, which makes the area a pickpocket's dream. But who's to say for sure if that's the case? Either way, best to keep your eyes and ears peeled if you're ever walking through those streets, apparently. In our number 6 spot today, we have the digital world. Okay, definitely less terrifying and more just bizarre, or I guess surprising is probably the right way to put it. During his time in the position, Pope Benedict XVI liked to send text messages to his subscribers around the world. Surprisingly, in 2009, the Vatican even opened up a YouTube channel to show different papal addresses and ceremonies. To take this all even a step further, the Vatican even had an app for smartphones. Imagine being the person who created it. The app contained multiple different versions in different languages of a prayer book and the prayers of daily mass. Just months before his resignation, Pope Benedict XVI even got a Twitter account. So, the papacy is going digital, apparently. In our number 5 spot today, we have the secret archives. The secret archives of the Vatican are one of the best known things about the entire state, but what exactly is in them remains much of a mystery. The archives are 53 miles long and there are thousands and thousands of catalogs. Only scholars can access these catalogs, but it still takes quite a bit of time and effort to get a pass to see them. Also, once you're there, you have to request what you want. There's no browsing the archives allowed. The official purpose of these archives is to house important paperwork and things pertaining to the Pope, but many people have speculated about all the secrets that these archives could be holding. Considering how many things and stories most of us have heard about what secrets may be hiding in the Vatican, one can only guess what atrocities may lurk in some of the pages found in these archives. In our number 4 spot today, we have the bank. The Institute for Works of Religion, also known as the Vatican Bank, is certainly no stranger to scandal, as it has definitely seen its fair share over the years. This bank was first established during World War II, during a time that Italy was fighting against the Allied forces. Out of all of the controversies throughout the years, the bank and their dealings with the guy who we'll call Adolf Hitler, for the sake of this video, is by far the most controversial. It has been reported that the Vatican received a considerable church tax from the evil guy annually. A lot of this money was paid this way so that it couldn't be tracked by Western banks, and this is kind of how the IOR became known as the world's top offshore bank. The Catholic Church has, of course, made use of the IOR to store tons and tons of its money, the extent of which has never been revealed to the public, so we will likely never know exactly what went on with all of these shady World War II dealings. In our number 3 spot today, we have family ties. This is something that really came to light in 1982. In that year, the Vatican Bank president resigned from the role after a series of scandals that ended up exposing the bank's ties to the mafia. In the end, the bank had to repay more than $200 million to its creditors because of this entire scandal. The bank president was never indicted on any of these crimes, but he has been suspected of not only these crimes, but also being involved in several mysterious deaths. Like, what in the world? This is so wild. In the end, he had diplomatic immunity in the United States, and he retired in Arizona in the 1990s, where he lived out the rest of his life. In our number 2 spot today, we have tax evasion. So there's a rule where the Vatican enjoys a property tax break for all non-commercial properties that contain a chapel. It's a pretty sweet deal, and they apparently decided to try and kind of take advantage of that a little bit. Between the years 2001 and 2006, the Vatican allegedly kind of evaded taxes that amounted to a cool 4 billion euros. The European Court of Justice, of course, ruled this entire thing illegal, and that is why the Vatican had to later procure 4 billion euros as post-dated tax. Many people speculate that this is just a drop in the bucket of what they owe in evaded taxes, but I don't even know how to do my own taxes, so who am I to say? In our number 1 spot today, we have the secret court. This one isn't so much a secret anymore, but it was up until 2009. The Vatican has a secret court for sins that are based on conscience. The bishops who handle these hearings are known as the Tribunal of Conscience, and this whole idea was created by Pope Alexander in 1179, and like I mentioned, was kept a secret from the public until 2009. The sins that this court sees range from the spitting out of a communion wafer all the way to things like priests breaking their vow of celibacy, and I'm sure a lot more stuff that we just won't even get into. You know, fun stuff. The tribunal, of course, considers these matters, but the decision-making in the end lies with the major penitentiary.